Yeah,
right here.
Zone him. We need to go for the end right now.
Yeah.
Use that wave. Block him off. Go. Jake, can you stop the base?
I can't. I'll try.
Okay. There's one tower. Go. Stop the base. Darshan, you too.
I can't stop their base. I can't stop their base.
No, I think
Darshan can go. You and Darshan. Go.
Stop marker.
Go. We got this.
I stopped this.
We're going for the end, guys.
Nice shot.
Go. We won.
Did we?
Yes, we won.
Alright, help me off stage, guys. I'm gonna sleep.
Welcome back to the North American LCS. Right there, you heard the comms from CLG at the end of the game. Afromu, we always know as
the classic.
Usually a premier shot caller in North America. The command of all 4 players, that he's got. That's not literally himself, of course. And say, yeah, the 2 tanks. You guys stop the recalls. We see Jensen just kind of chilling a bot lane. Great. As long as those 4 aren't recalling, we win the game. And it was really good. Like, I love that kind of shot calling.
And one of the things that's really impressive about CLG comms is that they're actually very clear.
Yep.
It's not, doesn't sound panicked. Everyone trusts Afromu to make those decisions. And I think that's why they have had a lot of success in the past as a team.
Yep. And if you have those kind of calls, it looks good. Of course, this game was very interesting. And we're looking at C9. You can see on the left of your screen, that is Ray. That is Ray subbing in for Cloud9. And we'll talk about this a little bit. Generally speaking, C9 just swaps back and forth regardless because they're trying to give both some screen time.
Yeah, and I think that Ray is a very strong mechanical player. He likes to play a lot of aggressive stuff. Very famous for his full damage Jarvan last season. He hit rank 1 in solo queue. And you had mentioned, I think this was a good point, that if you're going to go up against a team that wants to play 4-1 split push, like CLG often does with Darshan, Ray is someone who knows how to fight 1v1, who can be a very aggressive player and could match up pretty well against that style.
Right, and I do think that Impact is generally a better player right now, that if you're in a best of 5 in the finals, you still play Impact and you say, hey, just play some Fiora games. But if Ray is actually as good as Impact, the style lines up here to say, well, Darshan's going to keep playing Trundle and Fiora and stuff. He's going to keep splitting in the lane. Let's find someone who can feel comfortable 1v1ing him. And I do think Ray can be that player.
And the other thing you have to kind of keep in mind is that C9 really praises Impact for his shot calling. Right? For the voice of reason in their comms, being able to tell people what to do when they don't otherwise know what to do. So they are going to kind of lose that with Ray, who's not as practiced or comfortable in that shot calling position. But looking back to last game, I mean, both teams definitely had some mistakes, kind of some big macro errors as far as going back and forth, but CLG has practiced being a split push team, and it seems to be working out very well for them.
Yeah, they're playing 4-1, and they're playing a lot of fighters on Darshan. Twice in a row now, they've played a Fiora game into now a Trundle game here, where they're very good at playing that 4-1, just sort of watching their sieges, where they're keeping the 4 people together, they're only putting Stixxay in a position to be shot at, and he's got 2 shields on him, he's cutting back appropriately. CLG are very clearly practiced in this style of play, and not all teams are, and they're very good when that does happen. It's just a matter of can they get to the point where they're ahead and able to kind of play their style again.
Certainly, and I think that the point about everyone protecting Stixxay is partly to do with the meta shift. You don't really run that style when it's a Jhin, right? You're moving back towards Fervor AD carries. Caitlyn is fantastic for Stixxay, and they've had a lot of success in these sorts of styles with champions like Tristana and Caitlyn, and I think it looks very good for them. So this meta swing can be pretty important, and I also think that their draft deserves some credit as far as getting this sort of a top lane matchup. There was a massive amount of top lane bans, a lot of focus there, and C9 still wanted a tank in their composition, but they were left without really any of the strongest ones.
Sure, absolutely. The Poppy was banned away by C9 at the end of the phase, and the Nautilus was banned at the beginning of the phase by CLG, and it was like...
Shen was banned out as well.
Right.
Like, there was all kinds.
And it felt like C9 said, okay, well, with the Fiora banned away, we're good. It's a tank-v-tank matchup, whatever, go for it. Just play the Maokai, we don't care. And it's like, well, no, we're gonna play Trundle against you. And turns out that was actually pretty good for them. So, C9, I think, maybe thought they had what it took. They last picked the Echo to be like a last ditch, like, okay, well, then the Echo will fight you instead of the Maokai in the late game. And Jensen actually couldn't win the one-on-ones. He had a lot of kills, he had a lot of items, he's ahead in gold, didn't matter.
Yeah, it definitely didn't. I think where the Echo can hold on is when he has a turret to defend. Echo has fantastic wave clear. If you're pushing up heavily and just spamming Q out on the wave as it's approaching, I don't think Trundle gets to be at the turret. But I think that's where some of the mistakes as far as lane assignments and macro movements kind of came in from the two teams.
Yeah.
If you send Jensen to try to defend against this Trundle when he's already killed the turret, he can't win a straight up just stats fight. Yeah. But it's not like Trundle can just walk up and fight him under the turret with no minions there.
Yeah, a Maokai you can because he's not going to hit you for very much damage, but you're right.
And he doesn't have the wave clear.
Right, yeah, but it's different with an Echo. So different situations here. We are still waiting for C9 to get into the lobby. Of course, with Ray subbing in, sometimes it takes a couple extra minutes to set up properly since he hasn't been on this computer yet today, really. But yeah, honestly, as we wait for them to get ready, of course, there is, we had an interview with Stixay, and we're going to listen to that right now. So let's roll that clip.
I think Cloud9 is like another chance for us to prove ourselves versus like another top team. So we lost to TSM, and that kind of sucked. But Cloud9's like another really good team that we can just show that like we're one of those top 3 teams. For bot lane, I think Smoothie and Sneaky are one of the best bot lanes in NA, along with me and Afro. So I think it'll be like a really good match.
Certainly has been so far. And CLG, you know, at the start of the season, despite their really tough match record, they still had very close series against C9 and against TSM. They were able to match up pretty well against them. So CLG has always fought these top teams tough, and it's certainly someone you can never take for granted. It's pretty surprising to see them be up against Cloud9 after getting absolutely smashed by Dignitas. But that's kind of the way this team has always gone. It's the counter logic, right?
It is always counter logic. When the fans lose hope, they play really well. When the fans are like, all right, CLG's ready to go, they will drop the ball. And so the question is, which way is the fan vote going to go? If it's going to go C9's way, CLG 2-0s it. And you got to wonder what's going to happen here. But Counter Logic Gaming hoping they can recreate the advantage they had in Game 1. Xmithie has had very good early gank pressure. 3 first bloods in a row for him.
And that was, I think, his best Rengar game of the year, really. He has not had the most explosive Rengar game last game, but still, he was very solid. He pressured extremely well, not only getting the kills for Darshan, but zoning impact off of a lot of minions. So losing that golden experience really was critical in putting Darshan in the position that he needed to be in.
Definitely agree. And so we are here through the rest of the bans with a lot of the normal stuff off the table. Rise this time around actually added to the ban list. He was untouched in the previous game. Looks like Cloud9 does not want to deal with the red side. Rise and Rumble going to be right away. First picked in. Ray going to go for some damage.
Yeah, Rumble not going to fall through this time. It has been getting banned so often. When it is not, it's getting picked up nonstop. Seraph notably played it 3 times in a row, just recently this weekend. And Rumble has a lot of great matchups. That said, there are some tough ones for him. CLG has already taken Camille off the board, though, and that is something that a lot of people like to play in a Rumble in the meta. So we may just end up having Darshan on something like a Nautilus or whatever, just kind of trying to hold even and look for plays elsewhere.
Absolutely. The question also becomes, what jungler going to pick up? No surprise in the early Lulu grab. That's a bit known, but
I think you grab Graves here. I mean, Graves is going to be contested. I think that Xmithie has been more comfortable on the Graves than the Rengar. You can go for something like the Lulu, Kate, Graves first round. That gives you a very solid core to your team. Then you have a lot of options for a mid lane. You pick up a top lane tank. But there's obviously going to be some arguments on both sides, because if you leave your tank till the later round, then maybe C9 gets a big edge in the top side by banning out the kind of less effective champions and relegating you to something like Maokai.
Sure, if you don't grab a top laner right now, right, you see the Nautilus ban, the Poppy ban, and then you have to play a fighter into it. There's really no, I don't feel like Maokai can survive the early laning phase.
Trundle it would still be available there, so
yeah,
Darshan is willing to go to it. He has some options.
Like that matchup personally. I feel like Trundle's a bit slow to fight Rumble. That said, you're a better top laner than I, so I'll defer to you on that one, absolutely. But Karma going to be picked up alongside the Rengar here. No surprise to see the jungle matched, and we'll see if CLG wants to match top laners or go somewhere else. And ooh, Kled, it's going to be Kled into Rumble. And the thing is, I don't think it was going to get banned, but they just wanted to show it real quick anyway.
Yeah, and I mean, it could be that they want to have some flexibility for their other picks based on what their opponents are going to be playing. And Kled has had some success in the North American LCS. Zig is the notable player who's been doing so well on this champion. We'll see how much practice Darshan has gotten in and how good he's going to look, because in these carry versus carry matchups, a mistake here or there can cost you big time.
Yeah, it is the first non-Zig Kled game, so Darshan bringing it out. A little bit of new stuff for teams not named Phoenix 1. Ash Band away says they're probably going to first pick a bot laner here, as maybe look for the Caitlyn or the Ezreal themselves. Still happy to play damage-focused ones. Aurelion Sol, no surprise to be banned away from Huhi.
I think another point with the Kled that's pretty cool is it seems to match up very well with Darshan's style. He loves roaming and bringing that advantage elsewhere on the map. You can use the Kled ultimate to move around, to make rotations even. You can even ultimate towards objectives to give your team a speed boost to run there. So I think this is a pretty cool style for Darshan, and as long as he can execute on it, it seems to be playing well to his strengths.
Absolutely agree, and I think Kled can be a great matchup into a Rumble, especially with the Graves there for the damage. This could be a great top lane for CLG. We'll see if they can make it happen. Final bans come through in the mid lane. Syndra, Aurelion Sol, and also Cassiopeia removed from the pool. 6-6 Caitlyn, of course, still available.
Ezreal here too, so they kind of get their pick of the litter. I do think that Sneaky would like to play the Ezreal probably more than the Caitlyn. I don't know if that's going to come into the kind of thought process here for CLG. Last picking their AD carry, it really feels like they have something that is in flux, right? It's like
they did it last time, actually. They did it against Team Liquid House as well, where they did the same thing on Red side, where they just grabbed the early Orianna. It felt to me like they really just wanted to make sure that who he got a champion he was comfortable on. It's like now 3 Orianna games in 4 games right now. And just he's playing that a lot. And it seems like they just care a little bit less about what's actually in that bot lane.
Yeah, it's certainly possible. Or they want to kind of get the bot lane counter. I mean, if Jhin gets locked in here, a lot of people talk about how the Sivir into Jhin matchup is quite favorable to Sivir because you can often have a very heavy push advantage. Sivir Lulu acts kind of similarly to how the Caitlyn does as far as late game power. That said, the range discrepancy is pretty big between those champions, and it can be a lot tougher for someone like Sivir to actually get involved.
Absolutely agree, and we'll see if it's worth it in the composition. Echo's still going to be the pickup here in the mid lane. Same mid lane matchup there for Jensen. This time around, alongside a different supporting cast. No tanks for C9, though 3 melees is still a front line with the Karma. And the Rumble for damage on the top side, and the Jhin this time is utility, because they have damage elsewhere.
And that is the big call out. It is not going to be a tank composition, so it makes it a very explosive comp, but it also means if you fall behind and there is that sort of tanky presence on CLG, then that can be pretty tough. But, you know, Kled is not exactly a pure tank. You're going to be building very heavily into damage before you even go into those stats. So both compositions are going to be pretty similar in that regard.
All right, well, the final pick comes through. Ezreal going to come through as the safer backliner, and yeah, that was the one that's a bit more comfortable for him.
And I think the Ezreal makes a lot of sense as far as the composition that you're running this into. He has a lot of protection. There's a lot of dive on the team here from Cloud9.
Yeah.
Having the mobility and the protection can allow you to kind of absorb the engage of the Rengar ultimate and the Rumble ultimate, and then take over a team fight after that.
Yeah, absolutely. And they've got a semi-front line here. Kled builds reasonably durable. Black Cleaver, Titanic Hydra, the most common pickups for him, and the rest of those items fit into tank. You've still got the Orianna and Lulu in the lineup, so I feel like CLG is a bit more durable on the front side, but that's debatable based on how the Rengar builds. Either way, Champ Select is done, and I am just excited for the top lane matchup above all else. It's the first Kled in North America that wasn't piloted by Zig, and it's into Ray filling in for Cloud9 on the Rumble. Volatile top lane, and Xvithy has gotten so many kills top lane by ganking, I feel like he might do it again. He's been effective so far with this.
I certainly expect him to look up there, but that should mean that Contracts knows where Smithy might want to go and be able to prep around that with wards for your opponent or counter ganks. We'll see if he can pull that off.
Absolutely agree. Top and jungle going to be very important places to watch right now as Cloud9 and Counter Logic Gaming gear up to head onto the Rift. CLG managed to win game 1, and it was a well-played game at that. A nail-biting back-and-forth game with some great macro plays, some mistakes as well, some shot calls.
Very highs and lows.
Some highs and lows, but now it is time to hit the Rift for game 2. Let's go, Cloud9 taking on Counter Logic Gaming.
All right, so as we go in, we'll see if CLG is actually going to look for any of their pre-planned level 1s that they are kind of known for. It's certainly not something that they execute for every time.
Yeah.
And it looks like they are just kind of spreading out for a line of scrimmage.
You see the early Sloth Armor pickup for Ray, knows how scary this matchup could be.
Yeah, very defensive early item purchases. This allows you not only to have that extra durability, but the sustain is actually massive. You have 4 potions here. So in a shorter laning period, you'll have much more regen than you would even with something like a Doran's.
30 seconds until spawn.
Nice tunes from Jensen. You're rocking out.
Were they?
I think so.
Okay.
He does better than I can, so anyone who's better than
I don't
me,
know.
I'd
I've seen
say
you
is-
dancing, freak.
Yeah.
You've got some moves.
I do. They're moves. I don't know if they're good moves. I don't know
As
if
I
anyone's
said,
proud
you've
of
got
me.
some moves.
Yeah, I've got some. Apollo actually complimented me yesterday. He was in the studios. We were like getting
Well,
ready.
he is the nicest pro.
Well,
Anything
exactly.
else? Yeah,
He will lie to
so-
my face and tell me compliments. I appreciated that. But yeah, we are here ready to go. And I am excited about how this game plays out. The top jungle matchup, super interesting. CLG playing, punching above their weight right here, taking on the #1 team in North America right now, Cloud9, and actually winning game 1. Super exciting as well.
Thunderlord's on Afromu, so a
Yeah.
little bit of a change towards a lane-focused style there. A lot of people do go for kind of the more defensive masteries, the Windspeaker's blessing that Smoothie has. So
gave
Afro
one.
and Stixay are going to have the ability to actually get a lot of poke down. If you're accurate with your Qs, you could perhaps get an edge in this lane and really try to poke out the Jhin and Karma. We'll see if they can pull it off because it's high execution barrier.
And we'll see nice stuff right here by Smithy. Actually, the quick blue buff steal to start out the game. He was aware that it was going to be a Raptor start from his opponent, and he's going to need one more shot for this one, and blue buff is his. I think Smithy going to take even more of the camp. Again, it's CLG with some really clever early game plays. You know, reading how Contract's going to start it. They kind of know what the C9 wards are, and he gets a lot out of it.
But Ray actually walked over and warded out the red buff, so they know that something is going on here. We'll see how well Contracts can read this out, because they know that they haven't started that up.
I think all they did was ping the blue buff and say, hey, you know what, he started bot side. Because there was a ping in the Eastern jungle right after that happened, and they're like, okay, we know where Graves is, he's bot side, maybe he'll cheese in the bot lane, and then...
He's in trouble!
Running out of health! Wow, the first blood already through. Huge misstep by Afro, does not flash any of the roots, and that is a huge opening for Cloud9 in the dual lane.
Yeah, that 2v2 first blood so early on. I'm not sure if the heal was late. We'll actually have to watch this up, but Afro wanted to get this poke off. He wants to proc the Thunderlords, really get some damage on, but the whip on the Q, the full root, heal's late. The heal was actually late there from Stixxay. The exhaust came in late. He didn't flash the root. Lots of mistakes to digest there from the CLG bot lane.
Well, either way, good job by Cloud9, Sneaky, and Smoothie with an opening. Now Smoothie going to walk into Contracts or vice versa. Look at the damage output, forcing the flash out of his jungle. Contracts getting the better of this one. Not going to be able to steal it away. Nice smite by Contracts, takes all this back. Jensen,
well, they're looking for the dive on Huhi.
3-man dive, 4-man dive. They're here already for Huhi. He's running out of health, flashes out of his own turret. A lot of time lost by C9. Look out, Huhi walks back into Contracts.
Some risky business there from Huhi coming
Yeah.
back in, but still a good job to survive. Does end up a level down as he had to give up some of that experience, and see what CLG can get back.
TP's back to lane, and very exciting early game right now. 600 gold lead for Cloud9. Darshan, it's a little bit of a alone time in the top lane, but really not ahead of Ray just yet for someone who left lane.
No, not at all. So it was a nice roam there from Ray. You know, one thing going for CLG to even out the bot lane a little bit is the fact that they did have a CS advantage, so they at least have that going for them. It's not going to be as devastating, and Stixxay will have time to base and pick up his tier, so he's not going to be as poorly off as he might otherwise be in this sort of first blood type situation.
Yeah, it could have been a total catastrophe if Stixxay was the one to die. It is still, I would say, a worse item spike tier versus the serrated Dirk. Absolutely, there's more power on Sneaky right now, but at least getting a tier recall at all definitely helps.
Yeah, and the thing about the tier recall is you can actually play very safely. It gives you the mana regen to play and just use those spells to farm out from long distance and hopefully just kind of neutralize a lane like that where you're at a disadvantage. You can also win lanes like this even though you're down in combat power if you can hit enough spells.
Yep. And they're going to hope for the poke at least a little bit here, Counter Logic Gaming. They are still with 2 summoners, but they're against 4 from Cloud9, so not the easiest matchup to be in for sure. Big damage comes out there. It always feels so great to get that that 4 bounce grenade where the other 3 killed. It's just like 250 damage at like rank 2.
Yeah. The Q-Max definitely very powerful. Jhin does have a lot of kind of all-in type kill pressure in lanes, but there are windows of opportunity where you can really fight back to because of the reloading. I think it's one of the things that makes him one of the most interesting AD carries, both to play and to watch.
Oh, absolutely agree. I think Jin's super cool, super interesting, and I think that we are on 7.4 and he has some very small nerfs in 7.5 as far as death mark is concerned. He still is, I think, totally viable, and happy to see him in some games.
Huhi kind of feels like he's up against it again here with Jensen.
That's going to be his time for Jensen. Good trade comes through. A lot of damage with the passive as well, and Huhi chunked out and out of health right now.
Yeah, and he just wants to get this cannon and leave, but he won't even be able to get that. And that pressure that they did put on him has really put him at a deficit. He's down in experience. He's going to have to base again, fall even further behind.
And Jensen's freezing on him.
But that said, last game, it was a similar start for Jensen, and Huhi was able to stabilize once he had his last chapter and enough mana and really kind of farm it out and equalize. So we'll see if Jensen can continue to pressure this time around or if it'll be a repeat of last game.
Absolutely. Let's see what happens right here. Right now, it's the 800 gold lead. Cloud9 actually starting to win their lanes by a bit more. Ray and Darshan still going equal right now. Of course, Smithy has not been able to really get aggressive in this game yet. Jensen, of course, already saw the lead against Huhi, and the bot lane is equalized in farm. Contracts back to clear the bot jungle. Smithy and Huhi still fighting for ward control.
It always feels good as a Rengar player if you're going up against someone like a Graves and they have not made anything happen as you're closing on level 6. You know, pre-6, I certainly do think that the Graves is that more powerful ganker by far. But once you hit that 6, if your lanes are already doing well, you feel so good as the Rengar, especially if you can cash out and get that first kill.
Right here, Contract is able to clear things out. This will be level 6 for him. Oh, just getting slightly off. Unlucky.
Grab the red. It's pretty well timed, so he can actually grab the red here for 6 and then look for that level 6 ultimate somewhere with that red buff. Perhaps looking over at Fuhi, who still has flash down. With Jensen coming back, the timing on this gank is looking quite nice if they want to go for it. We'll see if Fuhi is aware and if he wants to play around it.
Let's see what happens. Smoothie has roamed up toward the mid lane. Part of this will be for ward control for his teammates, but part of it could be a roam. See what they can get for themselves. 1,100 gold lead for Cloud9. They are out laning right now.
Partly, you know, he's even just kind of clearing out the vision. Do they get pinged out? Yep, they have spotted the Rengar. Smithy is in position, but I'm not sure if they saw Karma coming in there either.
I think they would have. I think it's likely they would have. She walked close enough to ward vision that they should know about this. Aframu having to deal with some very aggressive wards. I mean, really, really deep ones.
Yeah, there's so much vision just got put down from C9 that is really going to help track Smithy. But Smithy is already on the other side of the map, kind of anticipating this as they saw the Rengar moving in, and he's just going to go right back to that respawning blue buff. So this is quite nice from Smithy. But if he does get spotted out up here, then a play for Rengar on the bot side can look pretty easy, whether it's Dragon or going for a gank.
We'll see if he looks at the top side. He was definitely in position. There's like a lot of ward coverage as well, but Darshan doesn't want to pull the all-in. Smithy wants to keep clearing his jungle. That was, I really feel like, a situation where they could have gone for like a heavy trade and looked for damage onto Ray. Maybe they forced the Jensen TP, who knows, but we won't pull the trigger. And Ray just going to clear away the ward control for now. Top lane still pretty close to equal. Ray building very defensively. Early Ninja Tabby, and of course with the top end jungle being both physical damage, that makes a lot of sense. A little poke out of 6A, and otherwise a holding pattern in this game. The junglers have done a really nice job of poaching each other's jungle and making some really nice plays, the very smart ones.
And I think the call out that the fact that it's Graves and Kled, both physical damage, is pretty intelligent because you can go tabbies into a Seekers, and that is so ridiculously efficient.
Yeah.
Because it's not just your laner, but it's the guy who can come and help that laner who is going to be dealing physical damage.
Smithy making the best of a bad situation. He knew he was getting attacked in the jungle. Goes for the Q, ult, and smite, and I think he really had to do that, so smart by him to do so. Contracted ulted to help with the blue steal, not going to happen.
And that is pretty critical because he doesn't even have any CDR at this point, so getting that first ultimate down and not being able to get a kill from it feels usually pretty bad as that Rengar, but Sneaky and Smoothie looking to push up here.
Good shoot by Styx. They apparently didn't want to burn the E right there. A nice root on Aframu. The Q as well. He's got to run out of health.
Ultimate available.
And they've got to block these shots. Aframu just barely lining up against it. Yeah, try to sneak it around the side. Not going to curve that one. Darshan running out of HP. A great equalizer is going to burn down. And uh-oh, poor Skarl runs away for the hills.
Rengar is up here, doesn't have his ultimate, but they still have to show respect to the fact that he could get in. Look at the CS now in the mid lane. He's getting bullied so much and has not been able to get to that point where he can stabilize. Hasn't actually had a time to base and pick up the lost chapter and get that mana regen, and so he can actually continue to spam out the waves and equalize this.
Yeah.
He's actually kind of in quite a bit of danger here.
Definitely agree. Both mid laners sitting on 1,200 gold in pocket. Huhi with the double Doran's ring just barely clinging on to his farm. And he's going to clear away what he can. 6A, of course, very low, and they've got to respect some of his damage output. That force shot would almost kill 6A from his current health bar position.
Look at Kled coming in. They're going to use the ultimate from Darshan. They're trying to bait them in. Here it goes.
Slow, exhausted, a Sneaky. He's going to find Smoothie, who's going to face tank it. Then he's going to try to flash out, knock up by Lulu.
Double TP coming in from C9.
And here comes the flank. Can they make it happen? A big bouncing grenade looks for the root. Got to flash away as a support. And here's the damage out towards Darshan. Not going to find it. CLG pull out the 2 teleports and honestly survive the encounter. However, it's C9
first turret.
Exactly, taking first turret. Go for this one. Overall play is going to benefit Cloud9. A bit of free time for Huhi in mid, but that is a big surge of gold for the blue team.
Yeah, and Huhi was actually spending a lot of that time trying to back and then decided to cancel it. So this is not even a hard shove. They won't lose hardly anything mid lane as Jensen's already on the way back. C9 execute the double TP, defend the play, and get first turret.
Nicely done, Cloud9, turning it all around. A nice attempt by Counterlogic Gaming, and we'll see if they can use this TP advantage. It's unlikely, but you never know. No Drake was taken, so maybe that becomes a play later on. Ray, ulti still down for a little bit. And actually, imagine if it was up, for that fight. Maybe that goes even better for C9 because they would have been in range of the equalizer, but had a few seconds left on that cooldown when it happened. Darshan now getting some of his real offensive tools. Maybe gets a push happening.
Yeah, and Ray is actually down here around the mid lane. It looks like they want to rotate their bot lane up top. We'll see if Darshan knows that something is coming here. Has been able to push in the wave and get out of there, though.
Yeah, it's not going to stay too long on this one, so they'll stay afloat.
Yeah, C9's going to start to try to pressure the other sides, though. And you cannot allow them as CLG to move around the map and just pick up all these outer turrets. So they have to make a response. The Dragon is a good one to start, but they do need someone up there to either help Darshan or to move Darshan bot and their bot lane top to try to actually hold on to these turrets.
Yeah, I think CLG should be able to trade top outer for bot outer and still get the straight for free. Just depends if they can play something aggressively in time.
They're not even pushing, though, so they're not going to be able to do that. The play then has to be trying to force around mid. I mean, Darshan, there's 3 men up here.
All right, well, the trade ends up being Ocean Drake for top lane out of it because I don't think they're going to stop this turret from going down. Cled's going to walk around. They're going to slowly roam the team up. True Shot barrage by sometime. Nice shockwave on top of Aframu. Knock out a Jensen as well, and he's still going to ult away. Now he's going to go back on top of him. And here comes Equalizer, but it misses entirely from Ray. The trade on towards Huhi. Can they get the damage? Not quite just yet. The kill comes in, but Ray did knock down Smithy. So 1-for-1 so far in the mid lane. Top lane still going down as well as... Oh, here comes the push in for Contracts. The flash to get himself away, and the trade kill comes in for Darshan. And oh, watch out, they got to get rooted up here, and it is still that 1 kill picked up. Actually, advantage CLG. They outplay the encounter. Top lane turret going to go down.
Risky business there from Contracts. Goes in for the play. But they're able to dodge out of that Jhin ultimate. C9 may still be able to push down this turret, as everyone was low from CLG and had to back off. Oh, they're actually expending the teleport. That's actually a very smart teleport in this situation because it stops the minions from moving forward towards the turret. If you TP on the turret there, they could have possibly just finished it off. And now this play back in the mid lane, very close. I mean, Jensen, you can see how strong he is at this point in the game, battling up pretty evenly against 2 players.
Now Darshan battling against...
What?
Against a Revolver, loses his head for that one. Nicely played, I guess, by Sneaky, but clearly was an overextension by Darshan. Clearly guessed wrong in that fight.
Yeah, and this TP is down now, so should be able to walk right up and challenge this turret. I'm not sure that Smithy will get here in time. Sneaky may go down if he stays around for it, though.
Yeah, Lulu, Graves are here, and it's just going to be the wave clear. So the turret still stays alive. CLG actually been able to keep this from going down.
Oh, and Darshan looking just for a turret dive straight up there. Way aggressive from him. I mean, summoners are still available. They have the exhaust, and that's a 1v2 turret dive. He's not nearly at that point where he's strong enough to do it.
Yeah, definitely should not have jousted forward. He could have tossed the bear trap out and then kited away, and you could have like jousted out, for example, but shouldn't have dived in like that.
I definitely think that disrupting the base is a pretty smart move because we saw that Sneaky was already low. He wouldn't have wanted to hang around. That could have got them some turret pressure, but a bit of an overcommitment.
Yep. No, the misplay means a 2,000 gold lead for Cloud9, feeling pretty good in the mid game. 15 minutes, just now the mark. CLG, a reasonably early Ocean Drake, but most of the laning phases are over, and
feels bad.
Yeah, his frog ran away. Smithy's pets leaving him. You blame him, he just shoots him with shotguns.
I mean, it's a water gun. Didn't do enough damage to take him down.
That's true. Maybe it was just very thirsty and, you know, he's like, here you go, I'm gonna make, you know, I mean, the poor frog's out of the water, he's not chilling in the river, he's like trying to help. It's like, you know, cosplaying Ivern basically, like the friends in the forest.
It's gotta be it.
The frog's out of his element.
Either way, oh,
fight the bot lane. Down. Ray running out of health, one more shot will do it, Smithy can't get in, Afro's gonna flash for the E, or the auto attack, couldn't tell which, maybe both. Either way, the kill comes through in the bot lane. CLG should be taking bot lane outer as well, there it is.
There's a lot of pressure already on the top side, though. Hui looking to get dove.
Pressure on mid as well. Hui Shockwave's not going to be almost anything. Kill comes going to C9. Nicely played by Jensen. And Contracts battle all over the map. Darshan just wave clearing. Top lane outer almost dead. Still a 2,000 gold game.
Yeah, and the mid lane pressure is going to be continuing here for C9. They're pushing on multiple sides. Slowly kind of trying to work down these turrets, pick up some more gold for themselves. And here is Ray just really not showing enough respect to CLG. As when your team is all topside, this is no longer somewhere that you can be. You can't actually come up and farm those minions. You may have just wanted to equalizer out the wave, but even still, if you do that too late, you can get taken down.
All right, well, rough stuff right there. Yeah, Ray didn't quite realize it all, and CLG able to equalize some of these plays overall. 1 turret lead for Cloud9, not the worst. Sneaky, of course, still going for lethality, and as Azale points out, Duskblade of Drakthar picked up.
A bit of a shift there. Instead of the Edge of Night,
Right.
mostly people would go for normally second.
Yeah, it's so you're right. Edge of Night is normally more common. This is 7.4 with the hot fix, so it's the cooldown and AD nerf on the the Edge of Night, and I think just the ward sweeping on the Duskblade passive is actually super underrated and is really powerful.
It's definitely very powerful. And Sneaky has actually been one of the guys to talk about how he feels like Edge Knight is not a guaranteed second buy anymore. He thinks it's more situational because it is so much more difficult to use. You can't just pop it on every single wave and have that additional safety. And now Ray with a nice little move here, trying to zone Huhi off of that creep wave, but he will be able to get in.
Able to grab most of the farm. Not too much damage dealt to the turret. And so far, the top lane 1v1, such as it has been, has remained pretty equal. Ray and Darshan both actually have only died to the opposing duo lanes, and otherwise are equal. We'll see if the split push means much later on.
And Darshan actually going straight Titanic, not for the Black Cleaver, but Dive looking to be set up here in the mid lane. Rengar ulting in from the side.
After losing a lot of HP under 200. Contract's right, not going to find these kills just yet.
Fight ult's coming in.
Down here comes Darshan, wants to fight.
Shockwave!
Shockwave on it too. That's a big battle for CLG. Jumping in towards Ray, plenty of damage to deal here, and the kill comes through. Riding on top of his trusty Lizard, Darshan takes him out. Kled makes it happen. Mid lane turret going to be traded back. C9 get the attacks through.
CLG want to keep fighting. They have the numbers advantage here. We'll see if they can pull it off. Jensen is strong.
Looking for it right now. Darshan very low, down to about 1,000 HP. Jensen pushed out a bit. Looks like CLG just going to kite right now. No more kills to come through on this one. Maybe I take that back. Whimsy is on. Stixie takes some damage. Poke back and forth, and it's a kill for a turret, and it still ends up with C9 sitting up 2,000 gold.
And C9
Oh!
roll around Dragon.
That was close.
Both teams trying to contest here. CLG still does have the numbers advantage, and Contracts is slow.
And they have an Ocean Drake, so sitting around like this playing Poke Wars actually does benefit CLG a little bit. Contracts will not regen nearly as much as Smithy will, but a couple recalls did come through, and Ray and Jensen have teleport, so they are ready to reset on the map.
They certainly are, and Jensen's actually waiting in base here, perhaps looking for that TP
Flash
play.
chase. Nope. He's gonna burn Sneaky's flash
Darshan's in
though.
trouble.
He doesn't quite get rid of. Good dodge there by him, and Contracts pushed around, but again, still low on this Rengar means he probably can't contest.
And Smithy looking to start up the Dragon here. CLG maybe looking to force. Darshan backing off, does have his TP available. Contracts could look for the steal, but it likely would be suicidal.
And he's gonna ult for it. TP's gonna come in from Darshan, not from Ray, so no contest here. And they do burn Darshan's teleport, but Ray's pushing in top lane tier 2, and it's gonna go down.
Yeah, that tier 2 is going to go down. CLG is going to have to hightail it back up there. Pick this up. C9 has really been kind of getting a lot of the gold advantages in these trades, but we'll see how much this double ocean is going to end up being worth for CLG later on. Is like you talked about, if you play a skirmish-heavy style and then you hang around, those oceans kick in, and it can be pretty impactful.
Definitely can be. We'll see what happens here.
The turret actually didn't die. Ray
Oh, wow, he
finished
actually didn't
it.
finish it off. Okay, well, Ray had to kite back from the danger, but it's like a 200 HP turret right now. And that's kind of unfortunate. C9 have had several very low health turrets just sitting on the map, not quite turning into gold. And
A very tight game.
it really is.
These two teams have actually seemed quite evenly matched today. And Darshan has looked pretty solid on the Kled. I mean, you can see the power of the ultimate moving around the map, being able to join in on these team fights, as he likes to do, because Darshan is a player who has a huge tendency to kind of cheat towards these team fights. Even if he is in a side lane advantage, he loves to constantly start moving towards his team over and over, threatening the collapse. And Kled makes that threat so much more real.
Absolutely agree, and it's one of the nice things you can do if you have a push lead somewhat in this lane, right? Early Titanic Hydra, of course, is wave clear, and it's okay, I push the wave first. If I go halfway down the river, I'm in ult range. I can catch somebody out. It is definitely something that both CLG and Darshan have been very good at.
C9, though, have felt like they have been the ones with the vision advantage for most of today. And really, once again, pushing in as a team, establishing vision, controlling this top side. And they're looking to create a situation where they can move between top and mid and pressure both these outer turrets.
So walking between top and mid, the gameplay choice of C9 and Jensen setting right there in the choke point. Plenty of C9 wards as well. And you can see the sweepers are there.
Yeah, there's so much more vision for C9. They really have cleaned this out, but Darshan has moved up.
Gonna face check the brush. He's tanky enough though, but really the vision is going to suck for CLG. They keep putting these wards over the walls, and they finally get one to stick just barely.
Jensen looking for Afro.
Can they find much to do? Darshan actually going to hit contracts here, gets the root across, but watch out for the Kled running out of HP. Wild Growth not going to mean much. Force stop the mountain. There's the kill picked up. Shockwave only catches Ray, but they get the trade kill in. Now Styx's going to lose his life because the arcade shifted forward. 2-for-1 in favor of C9, and Jensen jumps the wall to get away with it. Contracts looking for a bit more, running out of HP. Does get away from Huhi, and they're going to stay alive. Still the 2-for-1 in C9's favor. Jensen slowed down. Big damage out of Huhi. No Shockwave available, but
Ken is on the side, and they are healthy.
Oh, be careful. The re-engages in. Huhi going to get shot up and taken down. Smithy next up, and just like that, CLG gives away the ace on an overchase. And C9 look for Baron.
Yeah, they're going to give away the Baron here, too, very likely. C9 should be able to clean this up, no problem. And CLG just wanted too much there. They had a bit of a health advantage, but the numbers heavily in the favor of Cloud9. And the summoners were still available for them to clean up that fight. So C9 are going to get a monumental edge here.
4,000 up before the Baron goes down. Make that 5.5 when it does. C9 have all the tools they need to tie this game up.
This is a very close fight, but it just feels like CLG is having the space controlled much worse. Jensen's able to zone out a lot of the backline at the initial stages of the fight, and it just felt like C9 have such a better setup as everyone from CLG has to funnel through this choke to even enter the fight. The backline of C9 was always very safe. Seeking never really threatened whatsoever here, and that allowed them to take the fight.
Nice stuff right there. Cloud9 looking for a little bit more contracts. One star Sean Rays here as well. 3v1. There's really no way out of this one. Scarl goes and runs for the hills. He's a coward. I forget, actually. Either way, Kled goes down. Darshan deprecates to 2 and 3 in this game. CLG, of course, losing by quite a bit in kills and gold. And Smoothie able to 1v3 onto the turret. No push for CLG.
Yeah, they have to show respect to the fact that Jensen contracts are moving back down to the bot side. Yeah. And you have to think that the gold lead is only going to expand here for C9. The top tier 2 is easy pickings for them. About 1 auto is going to take that down here from Ray. They're going to get that for sure. The mid lane is being pressured pretty heavily. We'll see how much a CLG bleeds here because they're already down a lot. You can't really afford to give up too much to this Baron.
You can't, but right now it's what's happening. It's C9 pushing in for more. Darshan has respawned, but he was pushed off the turret entirely. Kled ulting in. They want this play. Gonna be the knock-up on a contract. Equalizer, he cuts off the backline. Beautiful by Ray. Darshan rooted up. Good damage to the Shockwave. Can't quite pick off Smoothie, though. And now into the front they go. Darshan chunked dangerously low. Jensen gonna be able to jump away nicely, and it is the clean enough turret take. Smithy not able to find much, and that's gonna be 5-1 in turrets.
Yeah, Smithy was never even there, and despite a great Shockwave from Huhi, he's still just sitting on 1 completed item. He doesn't have a lot of power behind that, and as a result, they're not able to really clean up any kills because Ray had a fantastic equalizer. That I think was so big for C9, keeping CLG's backline down.
Definitely agree. Beautifully aimed, and that's all good stuff here. Cloud9 just still in the driver's seat, and this one feels like a very large lead, and one that'll be very difficult for CLG to get through.
Darshan definitely wants to pick up that top outer turret. It's extremely low, and that it would be some way to combat this gold lead a little bit. And CLG do have the dragons in their favor, but it's not a lot of power under their belt because it is the ocean. This is not like, ooh, double Infernal kind of evening out the combat stats.
So the push is going to continue then. Right, it's not really going to be close in combat stats right here. C9 going to continue to have their way with this game unless CLG can find the Miracle Engage. Shockwave and a True Shot Barrage is going to be about 1,000 magic damage all at once. It can break things apart. C9's comp is somewhat squishy, especially Smoothie can't quite land the Inspired Shield properly.
And Darshan is getting a lot of alone time here. No one has been sent back just yet for C9, so he may just be able to force down another turret. C9 are looking to trade and then perhaps go even towards that inhibitor. But I think CLG is happy with the turret trade here because if you are at a deficit, it's still closing the gap percentage-wise.
Right, absolutely. It's the best CLG's going to get.
Look for the dive, though.
Regardless, dive onto Huhi. Lots of damage. The shock's going to come through, and he's going to die Deathfire Touch. I do believe it's close, but stays alive. Either way, 1 kill has come through onto Aframu. 1-0 to C9.
That Graves ulti just about taking out Ray and Jensen there, but they can't knock him down.
Oh, Sixay gets in there, gets the kill picked up, dodges away from Deadly Flourish, and look at that, a 1-for-1. Inhibitor turret, I believe, did die anyway. No, sorry, I take it back. I was wrong about that. But of course, the tier 2s were traded, and hey, a 1-for-1 in kills is better than CLG could hope for.
Certainly they are still down quite a lot here. C9 has a very powerful composition. This should be their dragon, but CLG want to move out on the map and see if they can contest because Contracts was so low. We'll see if they can pull anything off here.
They're playing the Cloud Drake, not going to go through to Smithy. Nice crit comes through for Sneaky, and that's secured, and the Cloud Drake is in for Cloud9. Watch that fight again.
Yeah, and the Equalizer, a good start onto Huhi, but Afro sacrificing himself, flashes in front, takes the damage, and does go down to keep Huhi alive. That was pretty critical here. The ultimate from Smithy across the backline was able to soften them up, and 6A seeing an opportunity does go in, taking down Jensen. Nicely done by him, but still high risk, high reward play there, because if he goes down, they may just lose an inhibitor.
Sure. But if you're down 7,000 gold, you've got to make some kind of risk because you're going to lose the game without getting a big play. And so,
and one of the things to keep in mind is, despite a massive gold lead and a big advantage for C9, they still have a very powerful team fighting composition. Ezreal is a champion that can take over a team fight, especially with this much support in the Lulu and that Orianna. So C9 wants to keep pushing, wants to keep pressing their advantage, because if you let Stixxay stabilize and get to a very strong point, he could kind of get to that 1v9 state with the kind of support he has.
I think it will still take some time. You're right that it's possible, and I do believe that you were mentioning it actually off camera, that Stixxay might have the highest highs of any of the bot laners here in North America. I think he's somewhat inconsistent, just like the rest of CLG, but has had those big carry games. But I think it will be quite a while until Stixxay reaches that point. So it's still C9's ball. It's still their game to win. Jensen actually having a pretty rough time facing Darshan, who conveniently for Darshan actually, just like last game, he's playing against a magic damage laner who he gonna get a redemption heal and push around Contracts, and Cloud9
Be able to take him down.
having a kind of a rough time. Nice true shot barrage, but the shield's good enough for Smoothie.
I think that point for Stixxay is really once he completes his Blade of the Rune King and then some sort of magic resist item where you become much harder to dive from Ray and Jensen. The Equalizer isn't effective. You know, either he can go from Mercurial or something like a Moth. Knowing his tendencies, it probably will be a Mercurial. But I think when you get to that sort of stage, there's not a lot of armor being built, so Last Whisper isn't as much of a requirement.
Yeah, you're right. It lets you kind of push your build forward a bit faster here. And you're right, with the Muramana already done, the Trinity Force already done, the two major power spikes are done. And the Rune King isn't going to be far behind. Stixxay still getting a lot of the farm. He's got the most CS in the game, actually, being donated a lot of this gold. They know it's going to be him to carry. Huhi's build a little bit defensive, to be honest. Merc Treads and the Abyssal Scepter. Of course, he wants to survive Jensen in the 1v1, but it does lower his burst damage. Being built so defensively.
Certainly does. And C9 moving in again to take control of Vision in CLG's jungle. CLG has a good layering of defensive wards, and they are trying their best to contest it. You need to be able to control that area so that you can move forward and check on the Baron, because that is going to be C9's next objective. We'll see if Darshan can get a sort of side lane advantage. If he could take down Rumble, that would be massive as far as stopping C9 for going for this Baron.
We'll see if it can happen right now. The push is onto Xmithy, who's running out of health pretty rapidly. The nice root from Contracts, and Xmithy down below 1,000, going to have a harder time with this Baron attempt. 6,500 gold lead. That's a lot of items in the pockets of Cloud9 right now. Most of that has been spent. There's a few with 1K plus
Ray
in their
is
pockets.
pretty separated here, and CLG knows he's there. They're going to look for him.
Here comes Fled for the dive. They're going to find Ray. The zone is going to buy a bit of time, and Stixxay just runs out of health, sniped out, and they can't kill off Ray. The exhaust buys all the time they need. This is going to be a slaughter right now. Cloud9 have already found 2. They're going to find the Guardian Angel. They're going to find 3. All the maps they could hope for. There's the kill picked off. 3 for 0. Not even a problem. Ray with the correct zone. Is Jensen on the chase? He's going to look for it here onto Xmithy. Looks for the play. Can't jump across. Nice smoke screen. And Jensen outplaying himself. Has to ult back into turret range. He kite away, but it's still going to be enough for Cloud9 to push into the base. That shouldn't be a problem. They will get the inhibitor.
Yeah, I think that's the straw that broke the camel's back. It looked like Sneaky must have landed the root on Stixxay in that Equalizer, and that is what took him down. And C9 can knock down the inhibitor, go right over to Baron, and there's almost nothing CLG can do.
And not really at all. Still plenty of time in the respawns. They're going to look for that Baron in a second.
So let's see if that's what it was. I do think that Stixxay got rooted here by Sneaky. Yep, right in the Equalizer. So despite all the shields, he gets taken down, burning down through that, and that was such a game-changing route from Sneaky. If Ray is the one to die there and Stixxay survives, this fight can look so different.
Yeah, he can lifesteal through the rest of it and keep going. But now the comeback play attempted. Darshan's running forward, looking for the bear trap on a rope.
He does have flash, though.
Misses it. Nice juke by Ray. But yeah, here's the rest of CLG, and flash over the wall keeps him safe. Nice attempt, but not going to turn into much.
And
Ray
they
only
actually
brings
lost their inhibitor turret to that minion wave, so a second inhibitor being pressured now by C9, and that Baron is still on the map, and Darshan can't actually go to respond to this anymore because they committed their TP to try to get that pick. And that was a high-value teleport, and they got really nothing from it besides the flash. So in this instance, the teleport is actually worth a lot more than that flash on Ray.
Absolutely agree. And so now it's Cloud9 with all the tools in the world. 9,000 the gold lead here. Jensen is split push. No TP, but has flash, so he's the safer of the two to make that kind of play.
Critically for CLG, it's not the bot lane inhibitor that is down. It's much easier to defend the mid lane.
Going to see them push on towards Roshan. Nice equalize, going to buy quite a bit of time. Not quite forcing back Skara, but the true shots are there. Looks for the fourth. Hits the support, and Darshan going to be dropping out of this one. Ray gets the kill. Who he's going to be next up, and I shockwave buys some time, but Deadly Flourish lands, and there's the rest of the damage output. A nice burn down comes in. Jensen gets the kill credit.
Yeah,
Dancing
Six
back
Day
around,
still
though.
alive, but he's getting pushed back so heavily. Sneaky goes in.
Yeah, 2 already dead, though. It's going to be hard to win a 3v5. Sneaky actually falls down smoothly. Can't get the flash shield in time. Nicely played by Stixay, and yet a mistake by Sneaky to be sure. 3v4 to defend the base. Looks like it will push back Cloud9, so it could have been a game-winning push. Actually backfired.
Yeah, CLG is going to try to chase, perhaps. We'll see if they go for it, but the mid lane is going to prevent them from doing it. And Sneaky flashing over the wall there, getting way hyped up. I think he saw the game win in his eyes and wanted to go for it.
He wanted to get that player of the game. He's like, if I get the triple kill, I get the honors. I want those points. And instead, he makes the game last a little bit longer and grant Stixay an extra kill.
That's actually a big death because that is buying CLG time. It means that not only does C9 not end the game, they don't get another inhibitor, they don't get the Baron just yet.
Yep.
This allows the game to reset and buys CLG another lease on life.
And it gives them 1 more minute towards that inhibitor respawning and resetting that lane pressure. So absolutely agree, this is a meaningful minute. But again, you can paint the things that are going well for CLG, but the lead is remaining just 9,000. Cloud9 can make this mistake 3 more times and it won't even matter.
Certainly. They're heavily in the driver's seat, and they're still 1 game off of ending, or 1 fight off of ending this game.
Yep.
They're definitely in a great spot.
And they'll grab a Mountain Drake, which actually helps them close the game out. I feel like at this point, it's maybe the best option they could have had. Rush down a Baron a bit faster, kill turrets a bit faster, all those things definitely valuable. Mountain Drake is theirs, 9,000 gold lead remains, and once again, they're going to play for top lane vision.
That inhibitor will be back very soon for CLG, and the bot wave is going to be pushing for them. Top wave should be pushing for them also, so they can kind of just jump around here in the mid lane and move as 5 over towards C9, who actually aggroed the Baron there. Ray taking quite a bit of damage.
See what can happen next. Jumping in towards Darshan, it is. 9,000 gold lead makes the team fight easy. And they're going to look for shots. Good stun on the 2 members. Darshan, still the tankiest member on the team, has to dismount though, and looks to get some damage across. But on the bot side of the map, it's actually Ray and Contracts diving in towards Huhi and Afromu. They've caught out Darshan for more damage. There's the pop in the top laner. The tank is gone. Shockwave is going to whiff, and that's all she wrote as it chases through. Stixay trying to cut away, gets another shield, gets a redemption heal. Not going to happen though. Sneak with a 700 damage crit knocks him down. 3 for 0. It'll be 4 in a second. So Portal Combat is in, and Smoothie going to set up for Jensen to claim the credit there. And Smithy against the world, it's not going to happen. Into the mid lane they go. Cloud9 going to tie up this series.
They're going to tie up the series, but can Smithy?
Nope.
No, not even the moral victory.
Not even the moral victory. And here we go. The turret's going to fall. Cloud9 in control almost the entire way through. Ray comes in, wins lane against Darshan, makes the roam plays, lands some good ultimates, and the whole game was Cloud9 from minute 1 to minute 35. GG, 1-1. Cloud9 take a game win.
Cloud9 looking really on form in this one. And CLG just could never really get the right team fight. It always felt like they were a step behind, with C9 nailing so many good Jhin ultimates, plus the equalizer. The amount of disruption they created in those fights was always able to split up CLG, and it was kind of divide and conquer from there.
Absolutely agree. So, nicely played Cloud9. Ray coming in, and the question always was, for a lot of this is, when the season at the very beginning when it started, it was like, ooh, Ray and Ray and Impact, and everyone kind of assumed that Impact was the better player, and then when you did see Ray, it had looked worse, and this is one where I think it's actually might be the first time all season where Impact loses and then Ray wins, because very often we've seen Impact lose, Ray come in, and it's still a 0-2 loss. I actually think this is the first time that Ray has flipped the scoreline this time around in a positive way.
Yeah, I know Ray in his last series did just finally get his first series win, where he was in the game-winning moment. So that's definitely big for him, and he did perform quite well. I think that a lot of his teammates had some excellent performances too, and I think that definitely the stars of this game were Jensen and Sneaky, who came up really big. And Smoothie is just so solid. It's hard to always appreciate how much someone does on a support Karma.
Yeah.
But his timing on his redemption, his lockets and stuff, he's always in the right place. He never gets picked off. C9's vision is so good. It's like a lot of credit goes across the board.
Yeah, definitely agree. So a well-played team overall, Cloud9 deserving it as all 5 members. But now we've got our analysts standing by to break down how C9 tied up that series.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Cloud9 evening up the series 1-1, but once again, not the prettiest of games really for either team. But the big news here is obviously that Ray, subbing in, picks up the win here in that Rumble versus Kled matchup. Freak hit it at the very beginning of the game. First Kled that isn't piloted by Zig. Does not look nearly as good. Yeah,
if you show me 2 Kleds, I think I can tell you which one was Darshan.
Right, well, and that just kind of proves the point that Zig has put in the time, to get to a certain level of mastery with that champion, where we've seen what it can do. We've seen the power of that pick and how it can be used to win games. CLG just either not having put in the time or don't quite have the understanding of how to utilize that champion just yet.
Yeah, and I think like there are a couple team fights you can look at where you say, okay, he definitely didn't use Kled to its maximum potential, but I think a lot bigger problem was what happened in the early game to CLG, because they ended up falling really far behind off of mostly avoidable mistakes, especially with that level 1 death by Afromu.
Exactly. I was going to say the biggest thing you can point at is in the 2v2 in the bot lane, Stixay, Afromu, again, coming into this split with Doublelift having left the LCS, most people were looking at them as the duo that's supposed to rise to #1 in the bot lane. Well, they are far from that position, I would say, at this point.
It's hard to say because sometimes they look really good. They had a series versus P1, I think it was like a week or 2 ago, and it was like, oh yeah, they look like really good. Definitely one of the best laning duos, maybe. But then Afro was, in the last year, has had this kind of tendency to just die in really bad ways and just standard laning. Just gets hit by too much stuff level 1, gets chunked out, the heal is late, the exhaust isn't great, and they just blow some summoners and die anyways.
All right, let's take a look at a fight. 21-40 into the game. C9 going to take this fight mid, 5-for-1 plus Baron.
Right, and this is kind of one of the big fights that ends the game. You can see this what we're talking about, where we're saying that that's probably not the correct usage of Kled there.
Yeah.
He gets focused down, basically gives himself as the only frontliner. It's still an okay fight from CLG because their comp is very hard to actually win a team fight against. Stixay, big mistake there, shifting in. He wanted to finish off a kill, but with Lulu Ori, you can play the fight a lot slower, and he's one of the big damage threats. So him going down early with his flash up was definitely a big problem for them. He probably could have got out of there if he needed to.
It's one of those situations where he goes down rather quickly. Maybe wasn't expecting that much burst damage, and you have to believe that the whole reason why he arcane shifted in was because he thought he could flash out, having secured the kill, but because he goes down, that's a lot of damage lost for the team. C9 able to turn it around, pick up Baron, and once again, once C9 has full control of the game, it's usually pretty easy for them to close it out.
Yeah, for the most part. I think CLG, for the most part, like we said, has looked okay from behind, like despite how bad that early game was, because there was also the contracts forcing out Smithy's, flash really early on. They had a ton of pressure mid. He was down like 20 CS. They still like didn't get smashed in the game. You saw that team fight right there was really close. And if Stixay lived longer, there are a number of low health numbers on C9. Maybe they can turn that. But giving that last ace over with that Baron buff was enough for C9 to basically blow the game open. And then CLG didn't look 100% comfortable with their comp.
No, not at all. Player of the game this time around going to Sneaky. Sneaky has always been a consistent player for this team. And again, we talk a lot about Jensen, for example, on the Echo as more of the playmaker. But the reason why playmakers are sometimes allowed to do what they do is because they have the picture of consistency behind them. You know that Sneaky's going to show up in team fights, and playing something as comfortable as Jhin for him is, he'll gladly pick into that champion any day of the week.
Yeah, he gets the Jhin, they get the early kill, he starts off with that lethality build, gets going really early on, and then there were a number of team fights that he was a very important member of. There was that one time that CLG looked for that pick onto Ray, and the fact that he was able to root Stixay in that equalizer and Flame Spitter was basically the only reason that fight didn't go really heavily in CLG's favor. So I think you got to look at a lot of those team fights and you just see how much damage Sneaky's throwing into him, even though, the action isn't centered on him. Where there's a Kled you should be looking at, and then the Sticks they went in, and most of the time it's just backline Sneaky doing his job.
Oh, what's your opinion on playing Ray here instead of Impact? Clearly it worked out, and just received word that he will be playing again in Game 3, so sticking with Ray in the lineup. But I thought it was a pretty interesting change in the sense that as you had the Trundle, split push pressure into a tank Maokai, putting Ray in, getting him onto that Rumble, and forcing a little bit more of a of a damage-oriented top lane matchup seemed to help C9 out this time around.
Right, and I think if you're saying just in isolation to this game, yes, getting Ray onto a carry versus carry matchup, if they're going to heavily target top lane tanks and things like that, makes sense. And the only question I have is long-term, what is C9 really looking for here? Like, is Ray going to see international play, assuming that this team makes it to MSI, or is he going to see play in the finals, even if you want to look domestically first?
Yeah.
I'm not convinced of that, so part of it is a little bit of a question mark for me, where it's like, wouldn't you rather put Impact back in and start winning with him?
Yeah.
Are they really going to run a 6-man roster?
From the team themselves, we've heard that Impact has actually become a much greater part of their communication and shot calling, with Meteos, leaving some of those responsibilities behind. Obviously, Smoothie is a huge vocal part of the team, but a lot of people have been saying, surprisingly, Impact is the one who, is kind of playing the secondary shot caller there. To your point of like, what's the plan here with the top laners? Is Ray supposed to also fill those shoes, or should they not be settling on a single roster that they plan on playing through to the finals with?
Yeah, and you can maybe look at SKT from previous years. I mean, you're putting Faker down.
Right,
for
Faker and Easy Hoon. Right. I mean, there's cases where it's worked.
Right, so you can't just be like, oh, they're benching one of their best players and a vocal member. Like, yeah, it can work. I just wonder if that's like what their plan was, quite the way it was with Easy Hoon and Faker. I mean, if they're trying to do that with top laners in North America, good on them. Hopefully it works out.
All right, well, they do need to secure one more victory here today to get that match win and continue their run and control of first place. Meet us back here after the break to see if CLG can close out against Cloud9 in Game 3. Don't go anywhere. You're watching the North American LCS.
Wait. Did Stixie get a haircut in his picture? Where's my glasses? Let me see. I need to inspect him. No,
so.
maybe not.
It's the same. Not put it on, just have your spectacles.
Okay, we know where Graves is. He's bot side. Maybe he'll cheese in the bot lane and then.
He's in trouble.
Running out of health. Wow, the first blood already through.
Do we turn? We turn?
Yeah.
Oh, this guy, I'm on Ori. Oh, he's losing. Nice.
No.
Lots of damage. The shock's gonna come through, and he's gonna die. Deathfire touch. I do believe it's close, but stays alive.